Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to our next episode of Masters of Product. Our topic for today is building personal AI systems that every executive should have. And to help us do that, in our studio today, I have Navya Rehani. She's a CPTO at talent.com. She leads all of R&D, all of go-to-market, which includes product, engineering, data, sales, marketing, ops, and pretty much everything else. She has over 20 years of experience building and scaling high-performing product teams and product organizations across the globe. As for me, my name is Mustafa Kapadia. I help product organizations leverage AI so they can be faster, make better decisions, and deliver bigger impact. You can learn more about me and my services, or our services, I should say, at echo-point.com. Navya, welcome to the show. I'm so excited that you're here.
I'm so excited to be here.
And the fact is that you're doing this on your vacation. That's another personal pleasure. So I appreciate it.
Yes.
I appreciate it. Now that you're all fresh from vacation, actually, let's get to the details, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Personal AI systems for executives is a loaded word. It means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Just high level, tell me what you're building.
Yeah, for sure. And it's, I wasn't set out on a journey to create a framework or a chief of staff or an operating system.
Yeah.
It was very, I'll tell you how I got here because it's a personal journey.
100%,
so,
yes.
So I joined Talent.
You're stealing my second question, but that's okay, please.
Okay. I joined Talent.com as CPO in November 2024. And at that point, just as what a good CPO would do, I did everything to learn about the new industry. I've switched industries quite a bit. And at that time, if you remember, there used to be custom GPTs were in. So I had a custom GPT for my own onboarding. As people were sending me decks and content, I would be, using the GPT as my companion.
Perfect. To basically synthesize all that information so you can get it. Yeah.
So I could talk to it, ask questions.
Yeah.
And then 7 months in, my role expanded and I became CPTO. I took over engineering. This was the second phase. And at that time, I started to use AI more of as an operating tool for my team.
Perfect. Yeah.
And then earlier this year, my role expanded again where I took over go-to-market. And I would say it was a much less familiar territory for me. Engineering, I have 2 engineering degrees. And, as product people, engineering is still quite familiar. But earlier this year, it was a brand new challenge with taking over sales and marketing and operations. And with all these changes that were happening in my role, I had an option to either become an obstacle and a bottleneck for the team, or I could have a system that scales my team. So that's
100%.
where I started to build synergy. And I know you're fond of that word as well.
I am, yes.
My word, my synergy doesn't have an E. It's a spin on my name, which is NRG. And I named it on purpose because as I started to solve the problem for myself, which is creating the leverage for myself, I wanted to have systems so that I could have this beautiful synergy between what humans are good at and what AI
100%.
is good at.
Yes.
And to me, that's where the leverage actually lives. The leverage is not in figuring out how AI would replace me. The leverage isn't in being the best in all the latest AI tools. It's really that loop between the human and the AI. So what I've learned through building through this is that, I've now been able to do things with the system that I just couldn't do before. So for me, it's been a reach story and not, a productivity story.
Yeah. I think that's great. There's so many things that I wanted to go double down on. So let's talk about your name, Synergy, because I think it's a great name, right? And because I'm a big believer in the human AI synergy, as we were talking just a few minutes ago. Most people, when they try to build these personal OS systems, they try to automate everything, right? But you took a very different point of view. And just from what you're saying, is like you want to have a tighter loop between you and AI to figure out what AI does well and what human does well, which I 100% agree with, which I think is where we need to go. And I think people are eventually getting wise to it. How did you come up with that? Because the mindset that most people have is just, let me just automate everything. How did you come to this conclusion that it's always about human AI synergy where AI does things that it's well at, and then human does things that is well at.
Yeah. And I would say that again, because I didn't start this journey with that goal that I want to automate everything. In fact, on the contrary, this would sound a bit boastful, but when I was looking at everybody creating their systems, I said to myself, I don't know what this craze is about because my life is very efficient. I'm a mom of two little kids and I have a big crazy job. So I've kind of already found all the right automations and the right
Yes.
mechanism to operate,
Yeah.
right? So again, like you being a parent makes you very good at time management too. So I didn't go into
Unfortunately.
it. So I didn't go into it thinking that automation and time savings is where I want to be. I went in because I was curious about the new technology
Yeah.
and I wanted the systems to work for me. So,
Yes.
and with automation and buying tools, a lot of it is about, using the tools and making them fit in your workflow.
Yeah.
I knew that I wanted the energy that I put into my work, I wanted it to compound. So,
Yes.
and I'm also a perfectionist, which means that the system would give me its best solution. And I realized that it was the iteration between what I had to give to the system and the loop
Yeah.
is what was actually needed. So I would say again, like I didn't start with the name. I started with my problems that I wanted to
Yeah.
solve.
100%.
I started with
Yeah.
my curiosity. And then as I was building things, I realized that the name that beautifully captures everything and the workflows are the ones that bring the human and the AI to their best potential.
I think that's great. And by the way, I've looked at it. You've been kind enough to share your system with me, and I've looked at it. And what I like about it, or the elegance of it, is that you're right. You're not automating things. It actually is there to help you think better and to be a better leader, right? Because it synthesizes so many different things, which I think is really where I think AI and humans shine, is because AI can help humans think better, right?
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, is having a thinking partner that knows everything can be quite powerful. Now you have built multiple systems, right? It's not just one. So so walk us through what are the different systems that you've built.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So I'll talk about some of the workflows which have been very
Yeah.
powerful, and then I'll talk about the self-learning system which sits on top of everything. So
That's right, because I think that's the one in which it actually ends up rating you every week, if I'm not. Yes, I love
get a
that
very
one.
first score every week. So on the workflows, the ones that have been the most beneficial for me and my teams are, first of all, a daily intelligence briefing. So as you know, as product people, we're always looking to get a read on the market, which means you're looking at competition, you're looking at the industry moves. And for me, it was important not just to get another email that people aren't going to read or I'm forced to read. It was about the so what. So what this intelligence briefing does for me is that it looks at new competition. There's so much cool stuff happening in HR tech that we all can learn from. It identifies hundreds of new competitors, new players. But most importantly, it doesn't tell me this company launched something or raised this much money or got acquired. It gives me the so what in the context of my strategy. So it looks at trends and it gives me every day an opportunity for us based on our strategy and a threat and new ideas. And so to start a day as a product person with not the noise, but the actual signal that is extremely relevant for me and my team. And the email goes out to about 40 people in the company. So that's been really helpful.
Perfect. Yeah.
The second is customer.
And that's great because it just gets information to you in your hands. So then you can decide what's going on and you're always up to speed. Right. I love it. Yeah. And when you send it out to the 40 people, is the same thing or what is it that you send out to them? Because I know it digests it for you. But do they get a different cut of it or do they get the same thing?
They get the same briefing. And it's very much, here's what you need to know about what happened.
Okay.
And on Fridays, it sends a weekly synthesis as well.
Nice. And what has been the reaction to them? Is like, because now you're not only helping yourself, but you're helping the rest of the team think or be up to date, right?
You know, what's really interesting is because everybody's reading the same content, it creates the daily alignment on strategy as well,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because as product
Because
people,
everybody knows what's the same thing that's going
they
on,
know
right?
the exact same thing, and people have the same interpretation of what's happening
That's great.
and
Yeah.
what it means, right? Like typically, people can know what's happening here or there, but it's like, so what? So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
almost,
I love it.
almost this daily alignment on so what, which is so hard to do as leaders. Like typically, we just
100%.
tired of saying the same thing, and now the
Yeah.
system does it for me.
Yeah. Now you can have the system nagging people now.
Yeah.
That's perfect. I love the market intelligence one. Sorry. So there was another one that you built too. Yes.
Yeah. The other one is I'm new to sales. So, I am always in customer conversations now. And I used to be in more from a discovery setting, but now it's a sales conversation. So I have a system that going into every customer conversation tells me how I can be best prepared. So,
Perfect.
previously this would mean going into LinkedIn's and going into doing the own market research,
Yeah.
looking at past transcripts. But now it gives me very specific points around customer pain points, around trend correlation between the customers,
Nice.
vertical specific input so that I could go in being more informed. But then also based on prior transcripts, it tells me what's going to resonate. And
Oh,
so
wow. Okay.
I'm able to build trust in conversations way faster by, just going into my system, giving the transcript and getting
Yeah.
a full preparation document. So
So
that's
this is
simple.
pre and post the call, or do you just do it for the prep?
I do it pre and post
Okay.
because I want to be ready for the future conversations, and we're having really good traction. So there's
Yeah.
typically always
Yeah.
more than one. So yeah, it's a really simple, easy workflow. But all of this feeds into a bigger system that I'm happy to talk about
And
as well.
well, this is a fascinating one because I was talking. Like I shared with you earlier. I was just talking to another CPO who's building the same thing, in which he wants to have almost a personal agent that tells him what does he need to know before he gets in the meeting, right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious, when you do the prep for the sales call, and I'm sorry, I'm getting a bit nerdy here.
Yeah, no,
What kind of data are you looking for? Like, what are the things that you pull in order for it to give you the synopsis so that you're prepared for it?
Yeah, I mean, it's all the intelligence that I'm gathering anyway about the industry,
Okay.
right? So it's one big input, which is
Right.
its own system. It goes into transcripts of calls that we've had with the customer.
Oh, perfect. So other salespeople who've had calls with them, you can pull from there. Perfect. Right.
And then it goes into goes online and looks for relevant information based on the sources that I've defined.
Yeah.
And then with AI, you just can't take everything and trust it. There are separate agents that go and do the review.
100%.
To do the
Yeah.
credibility check. The last
Yeah.
thing you would want is you quote a wrong stat or a wrong information. So
Yeah.
there's steps involved to get credibility and confidence before we can go and have the
I
conversation.
love that. That's perfect. Have you tried? So I do this for my clients, right? Or I do this when I get into calls. Is I actually build a synthetic persona of that person, because LinkedIn is a world of information.
Totally.
Right? And you can usually I'm sure you've heard of this called a disc profile.
Yeah.
You can build a disc profile of a person, and then based on that, it is a pretty good indicator of what type of questions they're going to ask you.
Totally. It's kind of shocking,
Yeah. Yeah.
I do that for my board conversations because
That's perfect. Yes.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, because you have so many different
personalities. Yeah.
personalities, roles, and functions, and each of them approaches a bit differently.
Yeah.
So if you can do that for you, I love it, right? Because we've done the same thing, because I do almost a disc profile for everyone. And it makes a huge difference, because then you can, it like anything else, AI is not going to predict 100%, but heck, even if it gives me 60, 70% of the questions they ask.
Yeah. And disc is so accurate. That's a great suggestion, actually.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of
I've tried different profiles. I tried Myers-Briggs. I have tried all of these things, but it turns out that disc is actually quite good. And you can pull a lot just based on their LinkedIn profile, especially the way they write about themselves, because usually their own words.
Yeah.
That is usually.
You have to share the disc profile for me, and I could compare that against what was my assessment.
100%. 100%. I can do that. Sorry, this is please. This is not about me. This is about you.
Oh, this
Let's go. So that's the second one that you built.
yeah.
What was the third one?
So, I mean, there are multiple workflows like that, but the system that sits on top of these workflows is called a self-learning system. So, what
Yeah.
it does is it starts with 3 files. The system knows my operating manual, which is how I like to work, my preferences. The second is session learnings. Every session, it's writing back on a file to say what's working well and what's not.
Nice.
And then the third one, which is the most valuable one, which is mistakes. As you know, AI will confidently show up and make mistakes all the time. So
Yes.
every time there's a mistake, it now auto logs its mistakes and the postmortem and what it learned from it. So that's the input on all the files
Right.
that the self-learning system does.
What is an AI mistake? Like, for example.
I mean, it could be anything. It could be it making a deployment incorrectly and saying,
Got
this
it.
is
So it's
ready
just
for you.
reading context incorrectly, or maybe
Yeah.
hallucinating. Got it.
Yeah, I
Okay.
made an
Yeah.
error and that I had to catch.
Yeah.
That every
Yeah.
time I have to catch something, I also have a score in my status bar that says Navya
Perfect.
many
I
mistakes.
like that because you're making the system smarter,
You have
right?
to, yeah.
At the point,
Yeah.
and so I'm assuming you're saving it in the memory or something like that, so it keeps updating, so it knows what to do. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so saving it into files.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, every Friday, what it does is the goal here is to make me smarter every week.
Yes.
Without me putting in the time investment that I don't have. So it goes in and starts to look at my peers and what they're
Awesome.
posting about how they're using AI that could be relevant for me. It looks into these files to understand patterns. And then it goes and compares against the criteria that I've set and the goals that I've set for myself.
Perfect.
The goals that I've set for me getting better at using AI and certain dimensions. So it gives me a score on every dimension and a reason.
Awesome.
And it tells me that. And then me as a leader that has taken over sales and marketing and operations, I have certain goals on how I can be a better holistic leader so that I'm not using my 20 years of product instincts and thinking automatically apply to sales and marketing. So it tells me some of these instincts that are right, but that are showing up in the wrong moments.
100%. Because you're right. You think using product thinking in a sales and marketing conversation usually doesn't work. It just requires a different way of looking at it, right?
It's a different
100%.
way. So it keeps me honest. Is the story.
I like that. May I ask what's the rubric that you use for your self-assessment?
Yeah, so it's on my website. There are certain dimensions for AI usage that involve me thinking critically about repeated workflows around token usage, for example, around automation. So that's around the AI side.
Yeah.
And then for my go-to-market, again, that's a separate case study on my website, and that involves looking at showing up with depth, but then also making sure that the company, which is go-to-market and R&D, are operating fast on the same signal. Yeah. So their dimensions are around how I'm showing up in customer conversations, but also how fast the two teams are moving on the same customer signal.
Perfect. That's great. Yeah.
So yeah, every Friday I get this summary, and it goes beyond. Like every week when I get that summary, I know it can do more, and that's where the synergy comes in. And then I use my lessons to have it create a better summary for the following week.
So I'm curious, how have you been scoring? Because you've been running this for quite some time, right? So how has your score changed over time?
I think the best I got was a week of 7.8 out of it, right? And maybe it's because of my working preferences where AI knows that I need honest, critical feedback. I don't be a yes machine to me. But I also don't think that there is a way to be a 10 or a 9 when things are moving so fast, right?
You have just described a perfectionist nightmare. You do realize that.
A professional nightmare, I mean, it's the reality, right? Like it's the world we're living in. You can never be a 10.
You can never be a 10. right? Except for my kids, they'll probably game a system in which they'll be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, Dad, look, I scored 11 today." I'm like, "No." um, how? So, more importantly, how has it made you, in your opinion, a better leader? I mean, listen, you just from what you shared with us earlier, right? So you started with CPO, now you CTO, now you're doing research and go to market. Clearly, it's effective, right? Or clearly, it's helping you become a better leader. Are there nuances, or can you share stories in which it has directly impacted the way you change, with the way you lead, or how you've changed your leadership style?
Yeah, completely in many different angles. On a personal level, definitely the reach is the success story.
Mm,
A few years ago, if you would have told me about these different teams, I would have said that is multiple different executives, multiple different
right.
roles. As somebody who's done product my whole career, I would say a CPO and a CTO are two different jobs, right?
100%.
So
100%.
the reach with getting now also with more go to
Yes.
market is a success story. Second is around because I'm building myself, I'm able to be a better leader for the team.
Mm,
So I've been the person who sits down with the non-technical leaders and teaches them how to build. And
perfect.
it's been quite fulfilling where
Yeah.
non-technical people now have the capability and now they're building tools. Our CEO is
Yeah.
building tools, our chief legal officer,
Yeah.
our VP of people, all the different, our senior director of finance. So everybody has their own workflows now, which has been amazing. And then finally, going back to the customer and the decision cycles,
Yeah.
because there is all this synergy that we're all able to get through the different systems. We're able to move faster, and the decision cycles are shorter. So
Yes.
win-win-win across my own scope, across the team, and then across the customer benefit.
That's great. I love the fact that it has actually helped you, and you're thinking about it not just from your perspective, but going beyond your team, right? Um, I'm curious. In addition to that, have you seen anything else? Has your team started adopting some of these things, or what has been the uptake there? Because I
For
know you open source everything, which is fantastic, by the way.
sure.
So whoever's listening to the episode, you should go to her website. We'll drop it in the link, so you can definitely take advantage of that. But I'm curious, what has been the reaction from other people using the systems that you've built?
I say it's been very motivating for people to try out their own things.
Yeah.
And I saw the before and after. When
Hmm.
I was showing up as a leader who was talking about AI and the importance of AI,
Yeah.
it didn't really make an impact. And it was yet another thing for the team to try,
Yeah.
and as you can imagine, even as product people with the technical chops, there's still a lot to do,
100%.
that you don't have the motivation. But when you show up with example, when you actually show up and
Yeah.
say,
When you
remember,
show them that this is what I did and this is what I
yeah,
built, it changes the conversation, right?
it totally does. And that's encouraged people now to create their own workflows, right?
Yeah.
Our,
Yeah.
our team, everybody is
Yeah.
experimenting with AI, and that they're experimenting with AI because they're excited to make their direct impact, not because somebody told them to use AI.
I
So,
agree. I agree. It reminds me, we had a client, I think it was last year, in which the CPO built a digital twin of himself,
yeah,
right? And then he distributed to the team, and he said, "Listen, if you have questions and you're too shy to ask me,
yeah,
ask my digital twin." And
yeah,
I'm telling you, that simple act changed the tone of the conversation. It doesn't mean that now you don't talk to him. It just means that now you have quote unquote the CPO sitting next to you, and you
yeah,
can have a conversation with him in private without anybody knowing, and you can ask all the stupid questions, right? Especially when you're new to the organization, right? Because you have to be careful. You can't ask too many questions, and especially since the transition, you've been in so many different industries, right? You know how the impact is of the type of questions people judge you on. um, but this one had the great effect in which he was able to build a twin that allowed his team to then adopt AI faster and make his team more effective, right, at the same time. So I think these things that we do as leaders make a huge impact, right? Um, and I'm sure you have probably started a very positive chain of other people now starting building their own OS systems within the organization. Yes?
Yeah, I mean, it's we all motivate each other.
Yeah.
What it started is we in our company have AI fluency conversations that we're all having, and we have a more streamlined way to talk about what does good AI usage look like,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
what does it
Very
mean?
important. Yeah.
Is it about technical chops? Is it about how you're showing up and collaborating with people? How you're using the human judgment, not just creating AI slop?
Yes.
So it's definitely started the right conversations. But again, going back to the 8 or 7.8 out of 10, I still think there's so much more. This is
100%.
probably at
100%.
the worst right now, and things will only continue to get better from here.
Well, Navya, you definitely have a fan, because we actually have a comment here on LinkedIn from Lindsay. And thank you for a great discussion and sharing experiences and insights. Very relevant and timely. Great work. Lindsay, you should definitely go check out her website. I will definitely put it in the show notes. And if you have any questions, ask us, because this is the best time to do that. The question I'm sure people are asking is that, Navya, how the heck did you do it? Because listen, when you start off building something with Claude Code, because do you use Claude Code or do you use Cowork? It can be daunting, right? So I'm curious, what has been that journey or that learning path? Because once you get it, it becomes easier, but
Yeah.
there's a curve to it.
Yeah, I would say the hardest thing is to get started.
Yeah.
And because of that, and I'll tell you what it was for me and how I'm helping others. So now what I do when I sit down with non-technical people and say, I'm going to teach you Claude Code, is I give them a little to do before, and then I sit down with them and I say, let's open the screen together. It's going to do this, and let's just get
100%.
through the first bit. And after the first session, there's then people are canceling their other commitments so that they can sit and continue building. Right?
Yeah.
And for me, it was the point about, like, is this going to actually be helpful for me? Right. So it was that first sit down session where I was like, am I going to get value, or am I just doing it because other people are doing this? Right. And at that point, what helped me was I created an accountability buddy. So my VP of product was in an exact same situation. And we both had a commitment, and we said, let's just play around in a week, and then in a week come back and share whether this was helpful.
And I like that a week is tight enough timeline.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you do it a month, it's too late, then you forget.
So
a week is perfect.
How did we do it? Get an accountability buddy, get somebody who can sit down with you, or create a personal goal, whatever motivates you to just get started, because that's the only obstacle here.
Yeah. I think that's true, because I think it is the benefit of AI is that you can do anything. The drawback is you can do anything. So it can be quite overwhelming, right? Yeah. So what I tell our clients is start with a problem that you have, right? Just like what you started off with. Yeah. Start with something that you're trying to solve, and then let's do it. Let's go and do it together. Because to me, that's the best way for you or for anybody to get the most value out of it, right? Let me ask the opposite question. What was the hardest thing when you were building all of these systems?
Yeah, I would say I have two challenges, and they're ongoing. I haven't figured them out. And perfect. If you'll invite me back.
We like ongoing challenges. Yes.
Because hopefully in 6 months you'll invite me back and I can tell you how I'm doing with respect to those. But the first one is, recognizing that it's an investment. Once you start to build things, you start to build things, and you start to build more. And it gets to a point where you're doing multiple jobs again. As product people, we're used to thinking about, we're thinking about the full picture, but you have people who would be also thinking about the refactoring, and they would be thinking about, product people will be asking, is this the right thing to build? Your architecture expert would be thinking about, is this the right way to build it? And for me, that challenge was recognizing that it's an investment. Mm-hmm. So the way I'm solving it right now, and I'm calling it ongoing, is because I'm a very disciplined person. Because I really want to, solve for this. I wake up at 4 a.m. and start
Oh,
coding.
wow. 4 a.m. That's crazy.
So it's my marquee time, that because my whole calendar is busy with
Of
meetings.
course, 100%.
So
Yeah.
I typically put my agents to work and get all my coding done in the beginning. So, the challenge here is figuring out how you make this investment,
Yeah.
but also recognizing that it would be an investment. The second one is ROI. And as product
Yeah.
people, we always think about ROI. And I can tell you, I have so many wins when you asked about what's the impact. I
Yeah.
have so many leading indicators that this is the right thing. It's the right
Yes.
thing for me. It's the right thing for the teams. It's the right thing for the company and for the business. But what I would love to be able to do is to show up and actually have a clear ROI with this investment, right? And I've
Oh,
done this
okay.
before
Oh,
with
you and I should talk afterwards. Yeah.
So I've done this before for the board where, I would take the whole R&D investment and put numbers right
Yeah.
next
Yeah.
to, and I want to be able to do this. And I'm close. I am
Very
close to
nice.
creating
Yeah.
something. But again, for me, that's top of mind because of how easy it is to feel productive. And
Yeah.
I want the business to actually have a step level improvement and to be able to show
Yes.
them. And we're on that path.
100%.
But
100%.
it's something I need to get
Yeah.
to the bottom of and show up here and show you what I built.
Yeah, no, I would love to see your system and see if there's any way that I can help too. But I agree with you on the ROI piece, because I think a lot of people forget about that part.
Yeah.
Sometimes they get so enamored with the building, they forget about what's the benefit that I get, right? And it's two kind of benefits too, which the first one is easier, the second one is harder. The first one is speed and productivity, right? So you could say that, you know what, I'm 2x faster, 3x faster, and the ways to measure it. And you can also say how much time you're saving. But to me, Navya, those are what I call the floor, right? To me, the thinking part and being better at your job, and being better at being in product or sales or R&D, or in your case, CPTO, that is exponential. And unfortunately, that's also the hardest thing to measure.
Yeah.
Right? And how do you measure the better thinking? I think it shows up in products and impact, but that's further down the line, right? So if there's people who have figured out how to actually measure better thinking, I would love to do that, because the speed and an hour saved, those are normal levers that we've figured out, right? But in fact, the system that we're building that I was talking to before, we actually do a benchmarking about how long it took them, for example, to create a PRD, right?
Yeah.
And a high quality PRD to go through the whole thing.
Yeah.
versus the benchmark that they had prior to using AI. And you can have the AI track it for you. So you can actually give you, and we actually have reports that we run, so we know how long people are taking and how much time they're saving. But that's the easy part. The hard part is the thinking part. See, I told you we're going to run out of time. We're almost at time. I'm curious, what's next? What do you want to build now?
I'll tell you what's top of mind right now, because 2 weeks or 2 months from now, it could be something different, just given how fast things are moving. But the things I'm working on first is a company priority, which I can't talk about yet, but hopefully next time we talk. We're creating a solution for enterprises around workforce intelligence. So that's super top of mind. And everything that we're talking about today actually builds into that. It's the way that AI Loop can hold real organizational complexity and create ROI for enterprises. So that's top of mind. But that's more for the company. But then for myself, what I'm working on is orchestration with discipline. And what that means is I just like many other people have redefined my role to become an agent manager. So I'm constantly I'm supervising the work of different agents, but then there are parallel agents and parallel threads that are happening that are
100%.
looking for human input to create that synergy. And the discipline that I want to set for myself is, just because I can do so many things in parallel, is it worth the multitasking tax that, right? And as product people, we're used to multitasking.
100%.
We
And
don't
that's the
think
entire
about the
definition of the job.
we don't think about that tax, but I do think the deeper conversations, especially as you create this deep synergy, has a tax that doesn't get talked about. So
Yes.
that's what I'm working on, which is the orchestration with discipline, so that
I like
I'm
that.
not paying
Yeah.
that quiet tax, because that is also an input to the ROI, or a
100%.
deduction to the ROI that we talked
Yes.
about earlier.
Yes. Oh, I like that one. I can't wait to see what you built. This is great, Navya. One last question before we end. Any words of advice for executives? Well, anybody who wants to start building their own personal OS system. Yes, they can go to your website and grab your system, but just for them, because I think there's two benefits. Number one, of course, you can grab somebody's system, but there's also real power in building something of your own as well, because then you learn so much, right, from others as well as from yourself. Any words of advice before we go to anybody who's trying to build a personal system, whether they're an executive or not?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about quite a few, which is, getting started is the obstacle.
100%.
As you mentioned, there are many open source tools. My self-learning system is also built on DAX, which is open sourcing tool to look at. But for me, the bigger question that I think we as leaders, they all need to be asking as we look at the next decade is how are we redefining our own roles? And I think about that quite a bit, because I work in the jobs industry and I see how jobs are changing. And, it's companies are rewriting the job descriptions. But what I would want everybody to take away from this conversation is that it's not about the tools that you are trying or the number of hours that you're trying to save, but really thinking about where you want leverage in your role, and with the times that you want to that you're going to save, how are you going to put that to good use, and using it for things that require humans and the things that we're good at, which is the judgment, the relationship building, leading your team through uncertainty. And that new job description for each person is really what we as leaders should think about ourselves, right? And
I agree with you. I mean, in many ways, we're coming back to full circle. Like the things that you talked about, leading in uncertainty, building the relationships, having better judgment. Those are the key qualities that we need to have as leaders. Unfortunately, we always get distracted by the daily minutia. And so this allows us to go back to being a leader, right? And I always tell my clients too, I'm like, this allows you to go back to being a product manager, as opposed to doing everything else that slows you down from being a product manager. So in many ways, AI allows us to go back to who we are, without being worried about the details. Or being, distracted by the details, I should say.
100%. And again, it's like not confusing motion with momentum. So we as leaders, what are our goals? What do we want to be? And how do we show up the way that we would want to show up, with or without AI, to make the maximum impact we could?
It's awesome. This is great. I can't wait to have you back when you build your new system. And you can tell us what you're building for talent.com as well, because I think that's going to be awesome. Thanks for being a great guest. Well, I will definitely have to have you back. Yeah.
Thank you for having me. This is great fun.
Bye for now.